Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining us on episode 68 of Health Talk with Dr. Cal. I'm Nikki Sterner, and today we're beginning part one of a series that dives into the 20 reasons why I can't lose weight. Mindless eating occurs when the brain is distracted and a person becomes unaware of what and how much he or she is eating. It can lead to excessive calorie consumption and weight gain. One way to tackle this is to track what you're eating. Consuming whole foods and eating plenty of protein while adding in exercise can be helpful. Welcome, everybody, to Health Talk with Dr. Cal. I'm Nikki Sterner, and this is podcast 68. Today, we're going to discuss the 20 reasons why I can't lose weight. Welcome, Dr. Cal.
Hi, Nikki. Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Doing good. It's been a good week. Got a lot
Good.
accomplished. So, yes. How about you?
Those are good weeks when you get stuff done. I'm good. I'm going to get started with the quotes of the day. I'm going to do two quotes today because they're kind of related. And we're keeping the quotes lighter because, dieting and weight and all of that can be kind of a heavy topic. No pun intended. Okay, so quote number one. Today I will live in the moment, unless it's unpleasant, in which case I will eat a cupcake. And the next one is, today I bought a cupcake without sprinkles. Diets are hard. So I thought that was kind of fun.
I like
Because
it.
sometimes I do that. I mean, when things get unpleasant, I'm not living in the moment and I'm numbing myself with a cupcake or a cookie.
Okay, for a moment, let's talk about why does a cupcake make one feel better? At least in the beginning, until you're done with it, and then you feel
Yeah.
like, what did I do?
And then afterward you go, oh, my belly. Oh,
Yeah, you get a stomach ache, or if nothing else, you feel regret, right?
yes, maybe both.
But the cupcake is giving you a sugar high.
Sugar, and there's fat in there too. And the combination of sugar and fat is just dreamy.
Yes, it is.
And
Your body loves them both.
Yes, so good. So
And
I
if
think
you
that.
go ahead.
Oh, no, please.
I was just going to say, and if you add chocolate on there, you get a little caffeine and cocoa in there, and it gives you even a more uplifting feeling for a short time.
Yeah, kind of buzzing, right? A little buzz.
Yeah,
Buzzy.
yeah. But then you regret it because you just ate 400 calories.
At least.
And you're like, what did I do? Now I got to go do 30 minutes of exercise to
Right?
to run it off, but
I got to do something to balance this.
But here's a
Yeah.
quick suggestion: go take some good fiber pills right afterwards, because when you combine fiber with the fat and especially the sugar, it reduces the effects as well as helps to work it through your system without taking in all the calories.
So could that be like if you don't want to eat actual fiber, could that be like vegetables?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Salad, maybe that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep. Follow up with a leafy green salad,
Yes.
or
Oh, yeah. Eat your
or-
cupcake first, and then you go have your salad.
or dump a whole bunch of fiber into the cupcake.
That's true. You could make it with like flaxseed and grind it up
Yep.
instead of actual flour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it a little better. At least
And then just put
at least
yummy
psychologically,
frosting
you'll think it's better.
Yeah. You just do yummy frosting on top, and then, it'll mask the taste of the fiber in it.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. That'll be our next company.
Yes. One of them's bound to work.
Yes, that's right. So I'm dying to hear these 20 reasons why.
20 ways. 20 ways. 20 ways why I'm not losing as much weight as I expected to. Okay. We're taking the shotgun approach today. We talked about the cupcake business. If you do a whole bunch of things, there's bound to one. If you throw 20 spit wads on a wall, one of them's bound to stick, right?
Ew. How about spaghetti?
Spaghetti, yes,
Spaghetti at the wall.
yes. Get the spaghetti noodles slimy and just throw them at the wall. See how many stick.
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's talk about these. First one. Okay, this is from an article. Let's see at healthline.com, and so it'll be in our podcast notes. So you can go read this article if you'd like to. and it's very informative, but not real super in-depth, so we'll talk about some of these as we go along. First one, maybe you are losing weight without realizing it. Now, that's an way to put it.
What?
Are you getting on a scale? That's what I think about. If you're losing weight without realizing it, maybe you're not using a scale. And they say, and studies have shown that if you get on the scale daily, you tend to lose more weight because you're more aware. And I don't recommend people become obsessive, because you can hit plateaus. And oftentimes when you begin your weight loss program of whatever type it is, you might have a problem the first 2, 3, 4 days, not really seeing much come off of you as you get on that scale, but your body is changing. Your metabolism is changing with the way you've changed the way you're eating, and so it doesn't always immediately come off. Now, there are many ways you can lose weight very quickly, and you'll see them immediately. Some of those are just cutting way down on your calories. We're not going to get into depth in different ways you can do that today. Like the book I'm working on and hope to have out one of these days is 10 ways to lose 10 pounds in 10 days. Well, guess what? Some of these ways, and we also know that keto and protein diets will get you to drop weight fairly quickly, and usually you'll see that in the first few days, and most of that is just water releasing. The cells are releasing their fluids, and you're dumping water, and so most of that is water weight loss in the first 2-3 days. And then after that, you kind of go, maybe the next 2-3 days after that, you don't lose anything. And you're like, what's happening now? But what's happening there is that your metabolism is in the process of changing. And sometimes you'll hit a little plateau there the next day or 2 or 3. And then you'll notice more and more coming off after that. Any other comments about that first one?
No, I like it.
Okay. Second one. You're not keeping track of what you're eating. Now, that's a common issue.
Yep.
People just, for instance, say you go on a diet and you're just like, okay, I'm going to cut back, or I'm going to just change what I'm eating. I'm going to add more protein in my diet, whatever it might be, or more fat. You just kind of go throughout the day and you just keep on eating. And the reality is you're putting in more fuel than you're burning. You got to keep track in the sense. Now, I'm not a big person, of course. I'm always back to what I call the natural diet, and I'm going to coin that phrase, the natural diet. And one of my future books will be called The Natural Diet, because all that really is go back to what nature tells you to eat and what nature shows and proves that is good for us, and that's high vegetable content diet with added fruits, 2-to-1 vegetables to fruit, and adding in proteins and grains that are healthy for you. And you will find and nuts and berries and things like that as well, that your body will over time just balance itself out. You'll lose the fat and everything will work better. So that's my way of looking at things. So anything about keeping track of eating, have you done that before, where you haven't kept track of what you're eating and then you got on the scale and went, why am I not losing anything?
Yeah, well, I've actually done like the keeping track of what you're eating, and it's amazing how much you put in your mouth that you don't realize, like empty calories that just mindless. You just, have a snack here, a snack there, and it adds up to like hundreds of calories. Like, oh, whoops.
Well,
Yeah.
as we've talked about before, food makes us feel better. So your mood can play a big part in snacking and eating more than you need, because you get a release of endorphins when you eat food, and your good, happy hormones, which we've talked about recently in one of our earlier podcasts. So it makes you feel good. And the hard part is a lot of people can't keep track. They drives them nuts just making a list. Like some of the diets have been count your calories. You got to keep your diet under 1,500 calories or 1,200 calories a day, or so on and so forth. And so you can drive yourself nuts, and it's impossible. See, and this is why I go back to doing the nature's diet or natural diet, because it doesn't require all that. You're just eating the good foods the right way, naturally, and then you don't have to keep track.
So much easier.
But keeping track of what you're eating can help many people, and it can get you on the path. And
it's a wake-up call.
Yeah, and a lot of people, that's the hardest part, is getting on the path, staying on the path, continuing to go there without constantly falling off. Get on the horse, stay on the horse, right?
Yeah.
Okay, number 3, you're not eating enough protein. Mentioned that a little while ago. Recommended that you have 25 to 30% of your calories a day come from protein. Protein speeds up your metabolism. Eating 25 to 30% of your calories in protein can increase your metabolism up to 80 to 100 calories per day. So that definitely, and the reason being is because it's harder for your body to digest protein. So you're making everything work inside you, from the digestive process in your stomach and being broken down in your intestines and absorbing and all that takes more energy. And so your body expends that energy in the process. If you're not eating protein, if you're just eating fats and carbohydrates, that was my problem when I was younger. When I got kind of heavy in the 8th grade, I had been thin up until then through the 7th grade and was fairly active, and then I became more sedentary and kind of lived off potato chips and milk and hamburgers and fries. And so huge amounts of fats and carbohydrates really get stored on the body quickly.
Yeah, that protein does help a lot. I notice I try to eat protein at most meals if I can. And I just feel better. I feel stronger. I don't know.
The other important thing in that, or the key thing related to your function of your body and your metabolism, is one of the things that happen when you go on a diet, especially if you're not having much protein. There are many reasons, but when you begin to lose weight, your body likes to hold on to the fat longer than it does the protein, and it will start breaking down protein in your body, and you don't want to lose your muscle. So you need to add that protein. It boosts your metabolism and keeps you from your body eating up your protein and dropping your protein levels in your muscles. So you don't want that to happen. Another reason why to add the protein in your diet.
Yeah, no muscle wasting.
No muscle wasting. Very good. Okay, number 4, you're eating too many calories.
Yep.
Okay. Going back to calorie counting, when you're eating a good whole food diet, you're not eating a huge amount of calories. Even when you add fruit in there, the fruit has the fiber counteracts the number of carb calories. That's what's stored the easiest. The fat in your diet is not stored on your body as quickly as the carb calories are, because the body, if you're sedentary, let's say you sit in an office all day long and you're doing computer work, and you're snacking on sweet stuff. Those calories, you're not burning many calories. If you're using your brain a lot, your brain is burning calories, and it can burn a lot of calories if you're in deep thought and function, using it pretty extremely, or writing code for programs or games or whatever it might be. You can burn a lot of calories actually with your mind. You burn a whole lot more with your physically when you're active. If you're very sedentary, definitely cut back on those calories.
I know when I had a desk job a couple of years ago now, before COVID hit, and I put on like 8 pounds, I think, in a few months, because I was, like you said, eating little snacks, because sitting all day is so monotonous for me and a lot of people. And I added the weight.
Yep, and I always recommend, if I'm putting somebody on a diet and they are sedentary, you're sitting at a desk, you get those 10, 15-minute breaks, or even the half hour to an hour break at lunch, get out and walk around the building, or walk up and down the stairs and stay off the elevator.
That did help. I started doing that after, probably, a few months there. I was like, I have to get outside, because my mood, I think, was shifting from being inside all day,
Oh, yeah. It can definitely eating all the sugar, the carbs can definitely add to the depression, which then increases your desire for more of that junk food.
Yeah.
It really is a vicious cycle. You eat the junk food, you feel better for a short time, but then you have a low because of excessive insulin levels, and then you feel depressed, and which then in turn makes you grab more junk food.
More. Yeah.
And so it's a spiraling downward. Might mention here, to count those calories, the easiest way to do it is download an app onto your phone. And most of those apps have just about anything you can think of on them. And you can look on the back of the package if you're eating those processed foods, because most people are, and it'll tell you how many calories are in that. Even the healthier bars, the nut bars, and that's what I would recommend if you get a piece on those things, but just look at the package. Read it, how many carbs are in there, how much fat is in there, how much protein is in there. Base that on whether or not you're going to buy it and eat it on that, and the number of calories. That bar's got 300 calories. Go with things that maybe have less than 100 calories.
Yeah.
Okay? And we've already kind of mentioned this. Number 5 is you're not eating whole foods. Again, we've kind of already talked about that, but anything to say there?
I mean, every time I need to, like, I find myself eating too much junk, I always go back to that. And it's so simple. It's just...
Yeah, piece on things like, I like to buy celery. Celery has very little calories, and you can put things, a lot of people like spread cheese on, soft cheese into their celery, and that's not necessarily a good idea because the soft cheese isn't all that healthy, and it's usually high in calories. Things like peanut butter's a little high there. Nuts they've come out with peanuts having some toxins in them and not being so good for you, but there's other nut butters, almond nut butter, cashew nut butter, and many others. Everybody loves the chocolate. Is it Nutella? Is that what you call it? I don't know if you ever had that. That's hazelnut butter, but it's pretty high in calories too, but it's very tasty with the chocolate in there. So don't recommend that, but spreading things into the celery makes it a little bit more tasty, but if you go with some of the lighter calorie, some nuts tend to be higher in fat, but they're good fat. That's another thing. And eating pieces of fruit throughout the day, or carrots, cutting up slices of bell peppers, like those kinds of things like that. Broccoli, cauliflower, all those little bits and pieces. And if you got to add a little dip, just do a low calorie dip, but preferably not one that has the bad artificial sugar products, things like that. Avoid those.
I love cucumbers too whenever I feel like it.
Another one. I mean, the list goes on and on. You just got to be creative and think about all the different vegetables that you might find tasty. And when you cut out the sugary stuff, it can take a few days, but those things begin to taste sweeter to you after you get off all the processed junk.
Yeah.
Number 6, you're not lifting weights. Okay, I recommended in this article that you add resistance training to your exercise program. We always recommend walking 30 minutes a day, 3 to 4 mile an hour pace, but also lifting those weights, having some I like the weight balls because they're just kind of easy to use and play with, and you can get them in 2-3 pounds up to several pounds. Lifting those weights, have some little dumbbells that you can even take them to the office and sit in your chair and do some upper body stuff with the weights. It can help you maintain muscle mass, which is often burned along with body fat if you are not exercising much. Bring that into it. Give it those weights going. Any comment there?
I used to love to lift weights. In fact, when I was in high school, a woman who had a son and an older daughter, a couple years older than me, and she had me train her. She was like, I know I need to be lifting weights. And so we'd go through like an interval training with, they might have been like 5-pound weights or something, little dumbbells in her hands. Yeah, I could see myself doing something like that. That would be really helpful.
Yeah, they don't need to be real heavy. And in fact, I don't recommend them being real heavy. That's when you tend to tear tissue. If you're trying to bulk up and be a bodybuilder, a whole different process. But we're talking mainly to people out there that are just having problem losing weight, and they don't want to start performing in front of everyone. They just want to look more fit. Get more healthy is really the whole idea here. Let's not go into losing weight because of vanity. Let's lose weight because we want to be healthy and we want to live longer. We want to be mentally, have a higher quality of life, as well as a higher quantity of life. And so when we get older, have our mental faculties and physically be able to do the things we want to do even into our 90s and beyond if possible.
Yeah.
Binge eating. Number 7, binge eating. What is binge eating, Nikki? What do you consider binge eating?
I know this well. It's when you consume a bunch of calories all at once before you can even figure out if you're full or not. Like you just ingested a ton of calories.
Yes, that is a big problem for everybody. I've done it. Everybody's done it out there. If you're having weight loss problems, you probably have those experiences. And you ever sit down and just start eating, and it's like you can't stop? Mm-hmm. You just you put something in front of you, eat it up. In the past, I've done that. If I sit down to watch a movie and I have some snacks, I'll eat those snacks. And when I'm done, I'll sit there for a little bit and then I go, I need some more. And I get up, have some more, and you keep on going. And by the end of the movie, you've just consumed 1,000 calories or more. And you're like, what was that?
Or you bounce from one to another, like, this,
that. Yeah, you get it's always fun to sit down with the family and watch a movie, but, if there's 4 or 5 of you sitting there and you're passing around different things, you guys can all go at it pretty fast and consume a whole lot in a very short time.
Yeah.
Sitting down to the dinner table, same kind of thing, Now I have the habit of, if I go out to eat and I have a sandwich, I only eat half of it. Save the other half, take it home and eat it later. or share it. One of the things that Ingrid and I do now, typically when we go out to dinner, we just buy one meal and split it.
Yeah.
And that's a way to avoid the binge eating. Okay.
Dr. Campbell, when I worked in Las Vegas at the Rio Hotel, I was a bevertainer, and I remember working the graveyard shift from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. And I would come home and I would binge eat because I was like so tired and out of it and just off. And I would have like ice cream, and I just remember the ice cream. Like I would just eat like a carton of ice cream, and then I would lay down and try to sleep during the day, and I couldn't sleep well. And then I'd get up and I would run like 5 miles to like compensate for the excessive amount of calories that I had just taken in before, trying to go to sleep. And then because you have to look a certain way when you're performing. And so then I would get up and run my miles, and then I'd shower and get ready, and then I'd go back into work that night. And it was the worst.
My gosh. You were just trashing your adrenal glands and your hormone levels. Oh my goodness.
It was so bad.
Yeah. We could talk a lot about that. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you corrected all those things, Nikki.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8, you're not doing cardio. Okay, kind of talked about this. Back to walking. These guys suggest jogging, cycling, and swimming. I'm not big on jogging, hard on the joints. You just pound those joints. I think actually running quickly in short spurts is better than jogging long distances. But cycling, swimming are great. Walking briskly, 3 to 4 miles an hour, as I mentioned previously, to add in the cardio. Any comments there?
Yeah, I find when I'm going for my walks, what I do is I walk in the sunshine, and then when I come to like some shade, I will run, and it's usually not for very far. So I'll do little sprints, and then I'll stop and I'll walk, and then I'll sprint, and then I'll walk, and it's maybe 5 or 6 times during the walk that I'll do that, but I feel like it helps to balance out. If I just walk, I don't feel as good as if I do a little bit of sprinting in there.
Yeah, and lastly about that, our research shows that you tend to burn more belly fat that way. So for the people who tend to get the fat around the belly, and for those around the rear as well, but you're burning off wherever you tend to store the fat the most, it helps burn that fat off of there.
By doing the interval?
Mm-hmm. By doing the fast walking, the cycling, the swimming. But yes, intervals training does the same thing. Up and down is very good. But research shows that consistent long-term brisk walking has the same effects, even sometimes better than the interval. But I think mixing it up on top of all that is even better. So sometimes just doing the walking, sometimes doing the intervals, sometimes doing it, like you say, you'll kind of do it at the same time. All good. Okay, number 9, you're still drinking sugar. People are constantly into drinking drinks and juice, apple juice, orange juice, grape juice. All those things are healthy for you, and they do have nutrients in them. But again, they can pound your insulin levels, and too much sugar all at once. Get off the sugary drinks, and I might add in there, get off the artificially sweetened drinks as well. A patient who drinks vitamin water, the product vitamin water, and they make it both ways, sugary or with artificial sweeteners, and she does the artificial sweeteners. I'm like, she's got a lot of inflammation going on in her body, and I'm like, you got to get off of that. Take the good vitamins. Besides the vitamins in there, very synthetic. You want the good natural nutrients.
Yeah, a lot of people have that problem, like Mountain Dew or Coke or Pepsi or whatever. I've never been a pop person, so it's not been my thing, but I have my own issues. I've never been a drinker of pop or soda, but I have my own issues with sugar, but that's just never been my thing. But I know people that have been almost addicted to like Mountain Dew or Coke or Pepsi or whatever. That's their thing. So.
Yes, and that's been one of my problems over the years. I grew up drinking a lot of soda and have had periods where I've gotten off it and not had any, but I tell you, to me, it is an absolute addiction, or just as bad as alcohol. Addictive behavior is common in my family. In the history of my family, had a lot of alcoholics in the family. So one of the things I've never really been into is drinking alcohol. Never really cared much for the alcohol, but I love, if I went out today and drank a soda, I'd be back on it. It's like I'd be hooked again and drinking it every day. It doesn't take much to, because my body just craves that sugar. And for a short period of time, I feel better. Well, Nikki, we've covered the first 9 out of the 20, and so we're going to carry this over into our next podcast. Any last comments?
No, I'm enjoying this.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. So the next one coming up, number 10, is you're not sleeping well. So we'll talk about that next time.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for sharing all that with us, Dr. Cal.
Thank you, Nikki.
And we will speak with you all next week.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. For questions or comments, please email us at healthtalkwithdrkel@gmail.com. That's DRKELL@gmail.com. You'll find the lowest prices on standard process whole food supplements at holistichealth.standardprocess.com. As always, we recommend you seek nutritional advice from a qualified healthcare professional before starting a supplement program. And for natural and organic health and hygiene products, see our sponsor's website at oceanbaynaturals.com.
While we make every effort to broadcast correct information, we are still learning. We will double-check all facts, but realize that medicine is a constantly changing science and art. One doctor may have a different way of doing things from another. We are simply presenting our views on how to live a healthy lifestyle that will be as evidence-based as possible. We welcome any comments, suggestions, or corrections of errors. We take no money from drug or device companies. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or others, including but not limited to patients that you are treating. Consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the podcast. Under no circumstances shall Dr. Kel Fullerton or any guests or any contributors to the podcast or any employees, associates, or affiliates of Dr. Kel Fullerton be responsible for damages arising from use of this podcast. This blog should not be used in any legal capacity whatsoever, including but not limited to establishing standard of care in a legal sense or as a basis of expert witness testimony. No guarantee is given regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast. Our website, blog, and podcasts are all HIPAA compliant. While you may give your email address to subscribe to the website post or to post information on the website blog, we will never share your email address or contact information with any third parties without your explicit permission. The contents of Health Talk with Dr. Kel podcast and the show notes are all copyrighted. All blog posts, podcasts, and show notes that are distributed to the public for free can be redistributed via hard copy or electronic copy for free only if Health Talk with Dr. Kel is included as the acknowledged author within the actual media that is being redistributed. The Health Talk with Dr. Kel podcast is a production of the Orange Stack, with executive producers Dr. Kel Fullerton and Eric Hammond and host Nikki Sterling.